Live. All right, welcome to Unethical Hoops, episode 12, where we are previewing the finals and going through the conference final series between the Spurs and the Thunder. Welcome to Bulletproof. Glad to be back and glad to have such an amazing series we just watched between the Thunder and the Spurs. And by that, I will ask Bulletproof, what was your thoughts on the Western Conference Finals?
I enjoyed it a lot. First of all, hello to everyone. Good to be back. So yeah, the series was very enjoyable. Um, Honestly, I did not expect the Spurs to win, even though they won the regular season series. But I thought they would make some mistakes at least. But they won, which is good because that's like it's always interesting when a young team goes to the finals because it's always hit or miss. But they've been so good this playoffs. About the series itself, I think it started with the Aaron Fox injury. I thought it would be the same as every time the Thunder face a team and then they get injured, but then the other way around. The Thunder dealt with their own fair share of injuries, but still, it felt like a very well matched series in a way. We're gonna talk about Shea's performance except for game 7 maybe, but like his overall performance, of course, that's a big topic of discussion. Also the matchup, which was a topic of discussion before the series, because during the regular season series the Thunder seemed to be struggling against the Spurs specifically out of all teams as a matchup issue. I still don't know why though, so that's where we're going to. Like, that's why I want to ask you, like, why are the Spurs, in your opinion, a tough matchup for the Thunder? Or are they just that good of a team in general, not just a tough matchup for the Thunder?
I think definitely they're that good in general, and I think they're also a tough matchup with Thunder because the Thunder don't have an answer to the Wemby problem, which is like I've said all playoffs. This is the most central thing in the NBA right now. It's like when Shaq played in the 2000s. It's like when Steph was playing 2016, 2017. How do you stop? How do you prevent this guy from destroying the game? And with him, it's more on defense. It's more like how can we actually get shots off at the rim? There was this amazing stat that in game one, he played 49 minutes, and in those 49 minutes, they took 6 shots at the rim, which
That's
is
crazy.
like that's that's the best defensive impact we've had since the merger. I don't care about whoever you can name. It might even be higher than Bill Russell. It's I never thought I would I never thought I would see the day where I could say someone in the modern game with this much 3-point shooting and this much spacing could be as valuable on defense as Bill Russell. But I think I might be close to being there because he's that good. Um, and then the other thing is their guards are amazing and their guards are physical. Stefan Castle is one of the most physical defenders in the league. He's great on Shea. He plays super physical. When he's on offense, he goes downhill. He does my most hated move, the off arm shove to oblivion, but they're not calling it, so keep doing it. Like he went into Chet's chest like 5 times or something just in game 7 and just whoever was the under the basket to get layup. He's really physical and they're physical. Dylan Harper, obviously, like that's my demon Dylan right there. He's probably the most controlled, like the most under control rookie guard, barring Magic Johnson. He might be the
Um,
best rookie guard in the playoffs, except for Magic Johnson. Like he's been that good. Like if he had
that's
played like this for the whole season, we're talking about an all-star level player. Like he's amazing. He's an amazing defender. He just like he shuts down guys. Like they don't really put him on Shea that much, but they put like whoever else he was guarding, he was stopping them. He's amazing. Obviously, just having Fox, so you have 3 ball handlers, is very big for them, and it's very good against OKC, especially because they put so much pressure on the ball handler and they tire out the ball handler so much. So you always have fresh ball handling. Then they shot really well from three. The Spurs, Devin Vassell, Champagne was huge in Game 7. Hit a bunch of threes, and I think they don't have as good a bench as OKC, but they have a really good bench. Even though Keldon Johnson wasn't that good in this series, he was the sixth man of the year. Luke Cornett is one of the best bench
He was
bigs
clutch
in the league.
though.
But and this is also what's the Wemby like. Luke Cornett is maybe the best backup big in the league, and they're consistently just getting blown out when he's on the field, and they're blowing out the Thunder when he's not on the field. Like, I feel like that speaks to Wemby's impact so much that they're completely like they're not with the Thunder when he's not on there, and when he's on there, they blow out the Thunder. And Shea is sharing his minutes. Like, it's not like their bench is playing against Shea and their other starters. Like, Wemby is good. They're going best against best, and Wemby is just like he's just a four, and it's not even because he always does things. It's because he forces the Thunder to adjust so much. Like, his roll gravity in this series, they ran. I wanted to break down a little play they ran here. They ran a lot of a 4-5 screening action where they had the 4 and the 5. So Wemby and often Keldon Johnson or another guy screen for the point guard or the ball handler coming upfield on each side, like kind of creating I think people call it a tunnel maybe. So he's gonna get picked no matter what. And because when Wemby rolled, the help corner, which was on one of the corner threes, was Jared McCain had to step in and help. They could just either throw the skip to the corner. He would create so much attention that the 4 popping out, Keldon Johnson would get a wide open 3, or the ball hand would just go right downhill for a layup because they couldn't leave Wemby. Like, his roll gravity is amazing. He might be the best roll man
ever. That's a reach, but okay. Let's go through what you said. So first of all, the matchup part, which goes back to my question. So what you said basically is about Wemby. That applies to all teams, I think, not just the Thunder. But I was asking mainly why does it seem like the Thunder struggle more against the Spurs than other teams do?
I do think
your answer is
they do have a lot of guys that Wemby can help off of. Like, Chet was just not shooting threes this series. Hardenstein's only counter to Wemby guarding him is playing left tackle and holding him. Lou Dort was atrocious, and whenever he was on, they could just put Wemby on and ignore him. I do think they had a lot of guys where it's easy for Wemby, and I also think one of the answers is just the Spurs are that good. Like, it might not be a matchup thing. I think it's just the Spurs have Wemby and you don't. Like, it's not like
Wemby is a matchup problem for all teams. But I'm talking about the rest of the Spurs, and I think one of the things you said is probably the answer to that. It's how many ball handlers they have, but also how good these guys are off the ball. So they have 3 main ball handlers, and all of them can play off the ball very well. They're very active players. So it's very difficult to force. It's very difficult to force them to do something they're not comfortable with. 1 second. Yeah. Okay. So do you hear me?
Yeah. You're good.
Yeah. So it's very difficult to force them to do something like put the ball in the hands of someone who cannot dribble. Even their tertiary ball handler on the court, which is usually Keldon Johnson, is actually very good. Not as a creator, but in general as an energy guy who can just attack and cause havoc. Now in this series, he wasn't very good offensively, but he was playing very hard as usual. And I love his energy in general. That when you have a guy that active on the court at all times, it's very yeah. I gotta go for a second. Just
I can still hear you. You just don't have an image.
No. It's just I have to. Someone's calling me. I have to go for a second. It's an important call.
Damn. Okay, I guess
it's just 2 minutes. Just take over for 2 minutes.
I'll just. Okay, I guess it's the Drago show while Amir takes his call. Yes, I think the series was I think this series was really good. I think this might have been the best playoff series I've ever watched. I think it was a very high level defense, um, to levels I don't think we've seen in the modern era of two teams playing each other on this level on just intensity on defense. I think the Spurs did a very good job of attacking Wemby. I also think the Thunder did good jobs of thinking of finding solutions to the Wemby problem, and then the Spurs adjusted back to them, like the Hardenstein game two that was crazy, where he just offensively fouled Wemby every time, and that gave them a game. So I think that was a good strategy. I think Wemby found good ways of adjusting both on offense and defense. I think his game six, where he was more aggressive from free, was very good, and I really liked that game. And I think Game Seven was a masterpiece. And I think one of the things we saw is I think we saw Shea figure out some things, being more comfortable as later in the series, and his shot making was just amazing. Like in Game Seven, that was what up, Amir? You're back. I
Yeah.
was just talking about the series, about how Shea. What was your thoughts on Shea in Game Seven?
Shea had a good game seven. I think if he played like that for most of the series, but actually, I have an issue with this argument that most people have been talking about. I think the difference between Shea in game seven and Shea in other games is just his shots were falling more, like the tough shots, because he was still forced to take some tough shots. He just made them, and I think it's not really because when you look at a player who has like a really good game and you're like, why doesn't he play like this all the time? Most of the time, it's really just shot making. It's not actual game plan stuff or like decision making on the player's part. So Shea tried to play like this every game. It's not like because I've seen people say, "Oh, he didn't want it enough." No, I mean he played like he wanted it every game. He just couldn't hit his shots the way he did in Game Seven. So I think his performance in Game Seven is not really exceptional. It's just what he uh, what he tried to do the previous games, but it succeeded. And I think they're always going to be a problem for him, not just for him, but for like any team that relies on ISO scoring that isn't 3 point shooting, which could also be the Knicks if Jalen Brunson is trying to attack Wimby in the mid range. That's going to be an issue. Um, in general, what I wanted to mention, like before I got cut off, was Wemby, like you said, is it's not the shots he alters; it's the shots they don't take, and that would affect any team to a point where this has to be replaced by something. And this answers your question about Shea because what it replaces is shots Shea is not usually comfortable with because he's the one usually creating these shots at the rim for himself mostly and for others, or at least close enough to the rim, like close mid-range shots, not far mid-range shots. So when you replace that with something else because Wemby's there, now you have a player who still has the same offensive responsibility. He's taking the same amount of shots, but he's taking them from places he doesn't usually take the shots from, and that affects his efficiency and therefore the whole team's efficiency because they relied on him to be their creator. And the other players that score for them are usually just like lesser versions of him as well in the way they shoot. So they cannot really they didn't come up with anything different except for the games that they just shot a lot of threes in, and that's how it went in my opinion.
Welcome football. We're talking about Shea in in the series we just had right now. And
Unfortunately, I joined a bit late. I had like 4 minutes.
no, if you have something get off your chest, you can get it off your chest. What?
Oh yeah. Great game by Shea, but unfortunately, he waited too long um, to have this type of game, and the game he had it aligned with the game where Caruso had his worst game. and the role players had their worst game. Caruso had a really bad game 7. A lot of bad decisions, untimely turnovers. I think it was his worst game defensively. Just worst game decision making wise. Also, I need OKC to learn how to run fast breaks.
Yeah,
I've been
Shea was
talking about.
slowing them down. They were not running at all.
Yeah, I've been discussing this. I've been talking about this all series, and I don't understand why. I don't know if it's a modern team thing, if where it's like guys are more individually skilled. This is a trend where some of the fundamental things about NBA players, they don't understand some parts of the game. But genuinely, there's been multiple times throughout the series where they've messed up crucial fast breaks. For instance, Luke Cornett, just in Game 7. We can go through them. Game 7, Hartenstein. What are you doing?
That was low-key
Like
sick.
Wemby's out. That was the play that won the game to me. That was the play that was like that was the play of the game. I think it was it a 4 or 6 point game at
It
the
was like
time?
a 4-point game, I think. 4 or 6 point game.
And that play to me was the play that flipped it, because after that, then they go back and score on the other end too. Yeah, and they called the timeout. That play effectively ended the game. The game before, there's a 2-on-1, and I don't know if it was game 6 or game 5, where there's a 2-on-1 that someone caused, and it's like all Shea had to do was pass it back to a trailing Caruso, and he goes up for the layup and blows the layup. I'm like, bro, it's a 2-on-1. Like
I do
Steve
remember
Nash,
talking about it. Yeah.
Jason Kidd, they make that pass where Vassell got the block every single time. Why are you forcing it? Why? And it's stuff like that just flipped the momentum. And I think that play. There's another play where it was early in the game, and it led to a Dylan Harper open 3. It was a 6-point game, and the fast break would have led to a 4-point game. And then Dylan Harper gets a wide open 3. You notice Dylan Harper had a great game after that, where he couldn't miss. And it's like, you have to take care of the ball, especially when you cause turnovers. There's nothing worse than turning a team over and then you messing up a fast break. And OKC did that over and over again this series. Like, you just can't do that. And ultimately, not having multiple ball handlers with AJ Mitchell and J-Dub being hurt cost OKC, because they couldn't adjust. Shea was the only one who could initiate offense routinely. I mean, you had Caruso bringing the ball up the court. All outside of Shea, he was the one bringing the ball up the court in Game 7. It was just nasty. Offense, it was finally Game 7, and OKC's role players didn't show up.
I do think on the transition point, a reason why Shea, especially in Game 7, wasn't trying to get out in transition much and run off of makes or misses, was that he couldn't. Like, he would have gotten way too tired with how many minutes he was playing and the offensive load he had to carry. So I understand he is not running. I do think they maybe could have tried to get the other 4 guys to run, like have a little focus on getting a Caruso or McCain to like push up the pace just for them, and then get Shea up and give him the ball in the half court after. But I do think that's the reason why Shea wasn't really trying to push the pace, because he was.
Yeah, but I want you two guys about the Shea thing about Game 7. Do you agree with me that the reason he had a good Game 7 is just that he hit his shots, or do you think there's another reason?
No, he just played. To me, nothing that. To me, outside of, Victor's rim presence has always been the thing. That's been the thing for 6. They should have known that. To me, Shea was just more decisive. Like, Shea's in the mid range, operates primarily in the mid range. Like, he should be. There's plenty of games he should have been able to get a shot off. I don't know. It's been a weird series. I don't think Shea's always been like a high floor player, but what I haven't seen from the Shea, like Swipe has always talked about Shea, and his thing of him not being the best player in the league, and I somewhat agree with him. It's like, it's not necessarily the missed shots, it's the decision making. Like, there's just so many fast breaks. I'm like, Shea, like, what are you doing? Game 1, right? Shea has a B game, even a C game. They win that game. You know what I mean? Like, the Game 7 was nice, but if you had a decent game in game one, you guys don't lose game one. You know what I mean? That like a game one was you can't, like when you lose a series at home, especially to a team that has had your number in the regular season, it's not a good look. And that game one was always put them behind the 8 ball. And then you think after they won game three, okay, they got back on track, they got home court. But I guess what I will say about Shea versus like some of the past all time, like they always compare him to Steph, and I always thought those conversations were disingenuous. And this is also kind of a loss to me. This is also kind of a loss. This postseason has been a loss in the analytics community when it comes to player evaluation and team evaluation, right? Player evaluation, obviously, Jokic, how they spoke about Jokic, and then team evaluation, how they spoke about this OKC team. This OKC team was flawed offensively, and I think it wasn't spoken about enough, especially with the lack of ball handling. Of course, you can say they're injured, AJ Mitchell, but it's like a lot of those guards are primarily defensive guards, and many of the great all-time teams, most of them, have had a very high offensive ceiling. And I don't think we would ever describe OKC team, especially with the way Chet played, as just deplorable. Have had a high offensive. I mean, this is a team that did go 7 with the Pacers. Pacers are a good team.
That's Chet against Wemby though, not usual Chet.
Okay, that's fine, but 2 attempted shots.
I get you, but like if one team is gonna have, and this is the thing, we were just before you joined, we were talking about. I was asking him that question: is Wemby a problem for the Thunder particularly, or for the whole league? I guess maybe
for the Thunder particularly.
Yeah, but it's because they have their own unicorn who's just a worse version by far. And they rely on him much, but they cannot rely on him when Wemby is on the court. That's not something they can replace without hurting their own matchup advantage against other teams.
But the thing is, they've operated well in the regular season without Chet, like for extended stretches and won games. My thing is, I always think great offense, like even Wemby, right? We saw Steph with a worse, again, regular season. But if Wemby's playing like a team of similar ability, all around ability, and Steph is at the lead, they don't win the series.
Yeah, but Steph is like maybe the best counter to Wemby.
Of course. But I think the Knicks are also a great counter because Cat is a shooter. So I'm interested to see what this series, how they're gonna defend New York, because I think Cat's natural game is to be a shooter.
I do think this is a very natural segue into us starting to previewing the finals, because I actually think that the Knicks they're not better than OKC, even this OKC without J-Dub and AJ, but I do think they might be better than them on talent, but I do think they're a bit better matchup for Wemby because one, they have the shooting center in Karl Anthony Towns, who is one of the few centers who if you just leave him open and he is like, his threes are just okay. He decides before, I'm gonna shoot it, and it's the plan all along. Then he's gonna shoot it and he's gonna make 40% of those.
Right.
And the other guy who's coming in is Mitchell Robinson, who really has caused them problems because of his offensive rebounding. And that's the other way, besides spacing Wemby out, is playing physical under the rim, either for rebounding or good touch screening or playing offensive lineman on him. That's kind of the two things that have caused him trouble. And I think they have 2 cards to play in that. Now, I do think they have the disadvantage of they targeted James Harden for the whole series, and they did a really good job of that. But they also have a guy with a massive target on his back in Jalen Brunson. And when the Spurs go 3 guards, where's Jalen Brunson going to be?
Right. I actually have to get going, guys. But yeah, that's the one thing that also kind of got Shea. Shea was having trouble consistently going out bigger guards, like Dylan Harper is going to be really big in this series and how Brunson's going to deal. If Brunson's able to get bypass all the guard play, because the Spurs have to me the advantage in guard play. So we'll see. But guys, I got to get
serious
going.
against these guys. He for real. He's the GOAT for real. But
Yeah,
this is a tough matchup for him. But we'll see how I feel about the next 20 minutes. Have a good one, football.
Yeah, always good to have you.
What are you thinking of the final, Samir?
Yeah, actually, first of all, if Jalen Brunson manages to somehow do better than Shea did, then I guess he's the better scorer.
It's gonna get nasty. It's gonna get
Yeah,
nasty.
I already put Shea in Paul George conversations, but that's another. Okay, so yeah, like the Knicks as a team, their build, I think it's a very interesting build. I think we talked about the Knicks before the playoffs, and I said they're my second favorite team in the league in terms of team build after the Thunder. And I think if Cat is aggressive, they have the best team in the league in terms of build. Because their biggest issue is that Cat sometimes is very passive. It's not just actually his shooting. Like, I think the best way that the Spurs could play him is to just not commit Wimby to him, defend him with someone else. Now, if he becomes aggressive,
that's actually a good question, because I do think that's a big question for the series. Is what would you, if you were the Spurs, what would your matchup for Cat be?
Keldon Johnson.
I don't hate it. I also think Stefan Castle has also been flown out there. If you can put Dylan Harper on, what's his face, Jalen Brunson. So I do like the idea of a little smaller guard, because the Spurs wings are not like big wings. They're like shooting guard sized wings. They are all kind of small. Whereas the Knicks wings are like OG and Mikal Bridges.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh yeah. Carter Bryant is also a good shout. Thank you to Clutch Corey. That's a good one. Carter Bryant in his minutes could do a really good job on him, because one of the Cat's big issues, and that's going to be a very big decider for the series in my opinion, is that he offensive fouls a lot. Like when he drives, he has a tendency to just try to go through people's chest and get called for an offensive foul. So him being in foul trouble could be a big question mark in this series. And I also just want to say that I think how they do that and where they put Wemby, I think Josh Hart would be the way to go. Where you put Wemby on Hart and then you can help off, and then you make it harder for Cat at the rim when Mitchell Robinson is in. I think that's where Wemby goes, so he can help off, but you got to be good at collapsing and team rebounding in those Mitchell Robinson minutes. I do also think that because it got reported as a finger injury, but it's actually more the hand, like right here, what's called the metacarpal, which is lower down on the hand. Not like you can't just tape your finger to the other finger like you normally do if you've broken a bone in your pinky finger. But he's actually broken this metacarpal right here, which is more of a hand injury. So I do kind of be interested to see how that impacts him. Also, if it's impacts his free throw shooting, because that could be the Hacker Robinson could be a big part of this, because it could give Wemby some rest. Like it could really let them sit Wemby for a longer time, where they sit Wemby and then they go Hacker Robinson. And I think the non-Wemby minutes
play a smaller lineup, it's gonna be difficult because their smaller lineup is still bigger than the Spurs. So it's not really something that would make Wemby rest. It's actually difficult.
No, but I mean, if they go Hacker Robinson and just put a very offensive lineup there when they choose to set Wemby, then even if he sits 2 minutes, if it's in real time, it's like 6 minutes because you used all your time.
No, I get you. I mean, in the non-Wemby minutes, you could actually put like Carter Bryant. But what I meant is in the non-Wemby minutes, if Mitchell Robinson is off the court, that's going to be very difficult. And even in the Wemby minutes, if Mitchell Robinson is off the court, this could be dangerous for the Spurs because against other teams, that's a small lineup. But in general, it's not a small lineup. Against the Spurs, it's a very big lineup because the Spurs are a small team. So they have like 4 players bigger than their matchup, even with Mitchell Robinson off the court.
You're thinking like
So
Hard and Anobi, Bridges, like a
yeah,
lineup
so
like that.
they have even with Mitch Robinson off the court, they have 4 players bigger than their matchup, so they're not losing the rebounding battle easily. Um, so yeah, I think Mitchell Robinson, if he's not good, they could give up the rebounding advantage that he provides and hope for the best. But of course, like I wouldn't bench him if he's good, if he's healthy. I'm just saying, like it could be a blessing in disguise. But yeah, another thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to this series is Cat is not just a shooter, and this is something that
Nope,
a lot of
good
people
great offensive player.
fail to understand because he's, in my opinion, he's very underrated in terms of being a talent. His
Yeah, they
biggest
also used
issue,
him as a hub a lot, actually. Like they used him in these playoffs as a hub, his passing. Shout out to my guy Cowboy Bob. That was actually one of his main ideas of how to fix this offense, and they did that, and it worked. So shout out to you, Bob. But I think he's go ahead. But I just wanted to point out his passing is also a really big part of what's kind of lifted them this series.
not just the passing, but because that's probably a Mike Brown thing. Shout out, one of the best coaches.
Yeah, a great hire, by the way. All those guys that said it was dumb to fire Tom Thibodeau need to shut the fuck up and never talk about coaching again because that was always an amazing hire. Like, I'm sorry, like he's just a way better coach than Tom Thibodeau. No offense.
That is a crazy comparison. That's
No, but
crazy.
like, do you not remember after they made the conference finals, people were so mad that they fired Tom Thibodeau, but like they got a better coach. Even if Tom Thibodeau was a good coach, like Mike Brown is just a really good coach, and it kind of fixed their offense. It was the only move they could make, and I think it ended up being a really good move.
People don't like giving Mike Brown his credit. I think
He was
part of it
amazing
is
in
maybe,
Sacramento as well that one year. Like the offense he built there was really,
yeah,
really good.
that was one of my favorite teams to watch, like ever. But yeah, back to the Knicks. What was I saying? Yeah, Karl Anthony Towns, one of his most underrated attributes is his first step and ball handling. When he decides to, you cannot really get too close to him. He can blow by you. But he doesn't do that often. I think he needs to be convinced to do that if teams decide to defend him like very tight to prevent his spot up shooting. Because he's not Matt Bonner. He's not Davis Bertans. He's baby KD. He should start playing like baby KD. That's what they need for him to do this series. Yes, he's not the ball handler that KD is, but he's still one of the
I get what you mean. I get what you mean.
yeah,
I would
like
say
he's one of
I was saying baby Jokic, but worse passer, better shooter.
yeah. He's not the passer Jokic is.
No,
I think like his offensive, his face-up offensive game is just so good. Like he
I
has a
think
lot.
his one issue in his face-up game is that he just has a tendency to offensive foul. Like he just goes through someone like on obvious offensive fouls. That's one. That's his one issue. That's one.
But that's a young team that I don't think they can rely on that. Like, do you think the Spurs can actually do that? Like, can play on that? A young
I would
team.
say if you
Really,
put Stephon Castle on Carl Anthony Towns, there's a good. I feel like the chance of an offensive foul is decent, not big, but like.
but I still think it's like it's difficult for a young team to time it quickly because that's one of the things it takes time for players to develop in the league. Like taking charges and having that as part of your game plan. I mean, taking charges and like using players' weaknesses against them. These things require experience, and I don't know the Spurs have that kind of experience. Maybe they do. We'll see. But for now, I think the series really revolves around Carl Anthony Towns. He's aggressive.
I agree. I agree. I think
Yeah.
also one of the things they did the Spurs to look out for, at least in the NBA Cup final game. They in the NBA Cup final game, what they did a lot with Wemby was they just put him on the corner, and whoever went up to screen was often Wemby's man. Then they would just switch it. So they would just, let's say you have Josh Hart and OG here, and then Wemby and Castle guarding them. Then if Josh Hart came up and set a screen, Wemby would just switch Castle up on Josh Hart to be in the screening action. And I think that's going to be one of their big strategies in these more spacing lineups that the Knicks run, where they're going more 5-out shooting. They're just going to try to keep Wemby on the low corner, starting off on Josh Hart, and then have whoever sets the screen go up so Wemby isn't in the screening action. But I do also think at some point they may need to put Wemby with the screening action, have him more in the action, have him play drop, have him play different coverages off of that screening action. I actually also wanted to make a little point, because like we said, Karl Anthony Towns is what maybe the key to this series. And his finals MVP odds right now is 19 times the money bag. So if you odds 100, you get $1,900. You get $1,900. So if you want to put a little money out there on something a little off, maybe a $10 on Cat winning finals MVP, I wouldn't hate that bet.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm not.
I think you could definitely, because they do have different.
I'm not doing a betting advertisement on the.
No, but we can do it. I can do it. It's free
I'm
to
not
go.
gonna do. If you want to do that, do it. But I'm not.
Yeah, we actually have 3 people in the chat, so shout out to all you guys just hanging out here before PC. Shout out to all you guys in the chat. But yeah, I would
come up, guys. Don't forget, if you want to come up, you can take the link and come up.
But okay, I think we went through a lot of the Knicks offense to Spurs defense. I think the last 10 minutes here we should probably use in talking when the Spurs have the ball. And obviously the first thing the Spurs are going to do is try to attack Jalen Brunson. I think it's gonna be interesting to see who he guards when they go with the 3-guard lineup of I guess it's often a 4-guard lineup, but with the 3 star guards of Harper, Castle, and Fox. Would they consider putting him on Castle and just play way off him and then help? Or would they maybe put OG, who's their best help defender, on OG, who's their best help defender on Castle, so he can help over on Brunson when he inevitably gets blown by Dylan Harper or De'Aaron Fox. So what do you do as the Spurs to attack this Knicks defense? Do you just try to go at Brunson, or do you maybe want to involve him more in screens?
First of all, to answer Grumsy, if that's how he's pronounced his
Grumsy.
name. Yeah, he asked where I'm from. I'm from Egypt.
He's from the Players' Choice chat, if no one knows. This is Bulletproof 24. He's one of the Hall of Famers as well.
Yeah. So back to the question. I think they can. I mean, of course, they'll try to attack Bronson, but the Spurs' offense is not gonna be facing a tougher challenge than they did with this last series in terms of the way they play their offense. Because the main thing about the Spurs' offense is they had a lot of guards, small guards, a lot of reliance on perimeter attacking. And they were played against the best perimeter defense in the league. And that team was forced to play these guys more minutes because their offensive players were injured. So they already faced the final boss of perimeter defense. I don't think anything the Knicks do is going to outdo what the Thunder did. So they can just do what they did. And now they have Brunson, who's a weaker defender than probably most of the Thunder players. I mean, they have McCain as well. But I mean, like, generally speaking, Brunson being on the court for like 38 minutes or 40 minutes, maybe even more, will be more of a breathing room than anything they saw in the Thunder series. I think the fact that they beat the Thunder means if they cannot play that offense again, it could be because of fatigue, because that was a dogfight they just got out of and they had like a 1 day rest. So it's very difficult. I think we didn't mention the fatigue factor, but that's actually one of the reasons I have the Knicks winning the series, because of the fatigue. It's 1 game, like 1 day break, and now they're facing a very good team. So yeah, I think that could be the thing, but I don't think the Knicks have better defense than the Thunder in any area really, whether at the rim or in the perimeter.
Yeah, I do think the one thing that the Knicks have that the Thunder don't is they have bigger wings. Their wings are more like big wings, like OG and McHale, which is maybe more of an offensive point, but that's also something maybe they put them on Wemby. I think the Knicks have more advantage. If we compare the Knicks to the Thunder quickly, they have way more advantage on offense, but they have way fewer advantages on defense. I do think how they're going to use Wemby in attacking, I do think he's going to roll a lot, especially in every of these smaller Knicks lineup where it's Cats that's the 5. I do think just either have Wemby attack straight up in his matchups. If you can just get to the rim, no really defense there, I do think that could be a big way for them to attack. But I also do think that using him as a roller, try to get OG, get Brunson's man to go at in a pick and roll, go at with Wemby, and see if they just try to switch that with then having OG on and see if you can attack Brunson with Wemby. Then I also want to say that the big issue here for the Knicks in the Brunson matchup is that if they just decide to go at Brunson and whoever is doing it can't guard, then that's a big issue. And then they can just always put the Knicks in rotation, which is maybe doesn't sound new because a lot of teams just do it with pick and roll. But if you have 4 guys that can all just attack and scramble the defense without having to set up the screening action, where you involve more defenders, where they can stun and recover, but it's just, hey, Brunson's matchup, just go at Brunson. If he's guarding a Dylan Harper, if he's guarding a Castle, because he's going to have to guard someone. Maybe it's Vassell. Maybe they can get away with that, putting him on Vassell. That would be the one. But if it's Keldon Johnson out there, can he hold up in the rebounding game? I think that's also a big issue here.
Vassell is going to score 30 on him. I mean, I don't think they'll put him on one guy regularly. I think it will depend on the play and how it's ran, especially because of the way that the Spurs play offense. It's not really easy to just say, okay, he's going to defend this one guy and stick to him. They're trying to hide him.
Do you have any more like keys for this matchup? Because we like 4 pieces starts in 4 minutes, and I think the chat here also will get over there. So if you have any keys matchups, and then we'll give our predictions, and then we'll get out of here. You kind of
yeah, that's really it. I don't have anything else except that I think the 2 big man lineup with the Spurs that was not working well against the Thunder might work well against the Knicks in some minutes. Also, I think it's Knicks in 6 or 7, but if it goes longer, the Spurs could come back. So I'd say Knicks in 6. Knicks in 6. That's my prediction.
I say the Spurs in 7, but it could be Spurs in 5. And my reasoning for this is there's like a good 10% of me that could see this Knicks team kind of being Cinderella a little bit, where they're a little like the 2023 Heat because they played amazing. I'm not trying to take that away from them, but they've also made a lot of the shot making have been amazing. If that abandons them now, like it did for the Heat versus the Nuggets, this could be a shorter series. I don't think it will. I'm saying Spurs in 7. I think we're gonna have a really great series on our hands. I also, for game 1, I think the Spurs have the advantage in game 1 because they're coming off playing a team of this level. They're coming off just playing hard against the Thunder. I think there could be a little bit of a grenade shock for the Knicks having to go from Cleveland, who wasn't playing that hard or physical. But I do think that could be
going from legend difficulty to like Hall of Fame.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Knicks played here, and they have to go up here, and that could be an adjustment period in Game 1 where they have to do it, kind of like there maybe was in Game 1 versus the Sixers. Like,
do you think fatigue is a factor?
Which they did win.
Before we go, do you think fatigue is a factor?
I do feel like the Spurs had like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. They have 3 days off, and they're playing Wednesday. So I do think they're gonna have enough rest. Just normally, it's not a 2-day turnaround. They do have an extra day, and it's at home in San Antonio, which isn't that far from OKC. So travel shouldn't have been that much of a problem. So I do think fatigue early in the series, probably not. Maybe it could be later. And also, the sad thing is that injuries tend to sometimes ruin this series. I really hope it doesn't. I really, really hope it doesn't, because I think we could have an all-time final series on our hands. I honestly,
unless the Spurs just win in 4, which is a possibility if Cat decides to be Cat.
Yeah, you see the Cinderella potential here for the Knicks, right?
Yeah, that's why I predicted them to win. Because I think it all comes down to how Cat plays first, and also how their form is and the momentum and all that stuff. But when you look at the build, the team's build is great. Jalen Brunson is the kind of player to lead that kind of Cinderella story. He's very clutch. He's him. He has that aura. Remember if you remember the AI Sixers, AI also had that, or of course he lost, but
for sure.
Jalen Brunson has
I just wanted, because we actually have a lot of guys in our chat today, and we appreciate all of you. So I just wanted to say thank you. This is the most active chat we've had all our 12 episodes. Very much thank you. I just want to say, like the video if you want. If you want to catch up on the next episode and even come up here with us, because we always put the link in the chat, you just go subscribe to me and Bulletproof24. I'll put him in the subscription right after the show. So you go on DragoFC23, or you go on Bulletproof_24, and you subscribe, hit the notification button, and then you'll get a notification next time we go up. It'll probably be next week, maybe even after Game 1. We'll see, because I have a lot more time on my hands now. But I think we all want to go over to PC. So if you don't have anything more, I want to say thank you for an amazing episode. If you have something you want
to... thank you to the chat. Thank you. I want to name them. D-Mitch, Grumsy. What was the name of the third guy? Clutch Corey.
So we got Clutch Corey, who's picking the Spurs here. Then we got Grumsy, who's picking Grumsy, who's picking the Knicks. Dimitri, if you're still there, are you picking? Who are you picking here? If not, you can just put it in the chat. But we really appreciate all of you guys, and thank you for coming in on this amazing episode. Have a good one, all of you guys.